My name is Emily, and I live in a quaint little town called Willowbrook, just outside of Portland, Oregon. My life had always seemed perfect from the outside, and maybe it was for a while. But like many things, perfection is often just a mask for deeper, darker truths. I met Jason at a friend's party. He was tall, handsome, with a smile that could light up a room. It didn't take long for us to hit it off. He was charming, attentive, and soon enough, we were inseparable. We moved in together after 6 months, our relationship seemingly perfect to everyone around us. But underneath the surface, I was restless. Jason was kind and loving, but something was missing. I craved excitement, the thrill of the unknown. And that's when I met Tom. Tom was everything Jason wasn't: dangerous, mysterious, and utterly irresistible. It started innocently enough. Tom was a bartender at a local bar I frequented with friends. Our conversations were light, flirty, and before long we were meeting up outside of the bar. What began as a harmless fling quickly spiraled into something more intense. I justified my actions by convincing myself that I wasn't really cheating. After all, Jason didn't need to know. He was busy with his work, often staying late at the office. It was easy to keep my secret life separate from my life with Jason. But secrets have a way of coming to light. And I was playing with fire. The excitement I felt with Tom was intoxicating, and I found myself seeking out other men as well. Each encounter was a new thrill, a new way to feel alive. As time went on, I became more adept at juggling my double life. Jason remained blissfully unaware, and I continued my illicit affairs, always careful to cover my tracks. But my carefully constructed world was about to come crashing down in ways I never could have imagined. Little did I know, the biggest shock of all was yet to come, one that would turn my life upside down and force me to confront the devastating consequences of my actions. It had been a year since I first met Tom, and my life had turned into a complicated web of lies and deceit. With each passing day, it became harder to keep up appearances. But the thrill of the secrets kept me going. I was living a double life, constantly balancing on the edge of discovery. Jason and I were still living together in our cozy home in Willowbrook. He was blissfully unaware of my infidelities. Our life together seemed perfect to the outside world. We had dinner parties with friends, weekend getaways, and we were even talking about starting a family. All the while, I was meeting Tom and other men in secret. One night, while Jason was working late, I met up with Tom at his apartment. We were lying in bed, our bodies tangled in a mess of sheets, when he suddenly turned to me, his eyes serious. "Emily, what are we doing?" he asked, his voice filled with an emotion I couldn't quite place. "What do you mean?" I replied, trying to sound nonchalant. Whatever this is between us, it's not just a fling anymore. At least not for me," he confessed. I was taken aback. Tom had always been the one who seemed to enjoy the casual nature of our relationship. Hearing him speak like this made me realize that things had gotten more complicated than I had intended. "Tom, you know I can't leave Jason," I said, my voice trembling. "He's been so good to me, and I do love him. I need this excitement in my life." He looked at me, his eyes filled with a mix of frustration and longing. "I don't want to be your dirty little secret anymore, Emily. I want more." His words hung in the air, heavy and suffocating. I didn't know how to respond. Part of me wanted to promise him that things would change, that I would leave Jason and we could be together. But another part of me knew that wasn't possible. I was in too deep, and I couldn't imagine a way out. The next few weeks were a blur of emotions. I continued to see Tom, but our encounters were filled with tension. He wanted more, and I couldn't give it to him. Meanwhile, Jason was growing suspicious. He started asking more questions about my whereabouts and the friends I was supposedly meeting. One evening, Jason and I were having dinner at home. He had been distant all week, and I could feel the tension between us. Finally, he put down his fork and looked at me, his eyes filled with concern. "Emily, is there something you need to tell me?" he asked, his voice steady but soft. My heart raced. Did he know? Had he found out about Tom and the others? I tried to keep my composure, forcing a smile. "Of course not, Jason." "Why would you ask that?" I replied, hoping to deflect his suspicion. He sighed, running a hand through his hair. "I don't know. You've just seemed different lately, distant, and I can't shake this feeling that something's going on." I reached across the table, taking his hand in mine. "Jason, I'm just stressed with work." "Everything's fine, I promise." He nodded, but I could tell he wasn't convinced. The guilt gnawed at me, but I pushed it down, determined to keep my secrets hidden. Things came to a head a few weeks later. I had been feeling off for days, nauseous, tired, and emotionally drained. At first, I thought it was just the stress of my double life catching up to me. But when I missed my period, a cold fear settled in my stomach. I bought a pregnancy test, my hands shaking as I waited for the result. Positive. The words stared back at me, clear as day. I was pregnant, and I had no idea who the father was. The reality of my situation hit me like a ton of bricks. I had been playing a dangerous game, and now the consequences were staring me in the face. I couldn't hide it forever. Jason would notice eventually, and I couldn't lie about something this big. But how could I tell him the truth? How could I explain that I had been unfaithful, that I had betrayed him in the worst possible way? Desperate and scared, I reached out to Tom. We met at a quiet cafe, far away from prying eyes. As soon as I saw him, I burst into tears. "Emily, what's wrong?" he asked, his voice filled with concern. I took a deep breath, trying to steady myself. "I'm pregnant, Tom." He stared at me, his eyes wide with shock. "Are you sure?" I nodded, tears streaming down my face. "I don't know what to do. I don't even know if it's yours." Tom was silent for a long moment, his face a mask of conflicting emotions. Finally, he reached across the table, taking my hand in his. "We'll figure this out, Emily." Together, he said, his voice filled with determination, but his words did little to comfort me. The reality of my situation was overwhelming, and I couldn't see a way out. The lies, the deceit, the betrayal, they were all catching up to me, and I didn't know how to escape the mess I had created. The next few weeks were a blur of fear and anxiety. I avoided Jason as much as possible, terrified that he would notice the changes in my body. Tom was supportive, but I could tell he was struggling too. The uncertainty of our situation weighed heavily on both of us. Then, one fateful evening, everything came crashing down. Jason and I were sitting in the living room, the TV playing in the background. He had been quiet all evening, and I could sense that something was wrong. "Emily, we need to talk," he said, his voice serious. My heart raced. "What is it, Jason?" He took a deep breath, his eyes locking onto mine. "I got a call today. From Michael." Michael. The name sent a jolt of panic through me. Michael was my husband, the man I had married 4 years ago. The man who had been deployed overseas with the military, who I hadn't seen or heard from in over a year. He said he's coming home. In a week, Jason continued, his voice steady but filled with a strange intensity. "And he knows about us." The room spun around me, and I felt like I was going to faint. Michael was coming back? After all this time? And he knew? How? I don't understand, I whispered, my voice barely audible. Jason's eyes were cold as ice. He found out about us, Emily, about everything. He's been trying to reach you for months, but you never responded. So he contacted me, and now he's coming back. The weight of his words crashed down on me, and I felt like I was drowning. The secrets, the lies, the betrayal, it was all unraveling, and there was nothing I could do to stop it. In that moment, I realized the true extent of the mess I had created. My life was falling apart, and I had no idea how to fix it. All I could do was brace myself for the storm that was about to hit, knowing that nothing would ever be the same again. The week leading up to Michael's return felt like an eternity. I was a bundle of nerves, my mind racing with 1,000 scenarios, each one more terrifying than the last. Jason and I barely spoke. The tension in our home was palpable, a constant reminder of the storm brewing on the horizon. I spent most of my days hiding in our bedroom, trying to figure out what to do. I was pregnant, my husband was coming back, and my boyfriend was demanding more from me. The walls were closing in, and I felt like I was suffocating. Tom was my only source of comfort during this time. We met in secret, as always, but even our moments together were filled with a sense of impending doom. He tried to reassure me, but I could see the fear in his eyes too. Emily, we'll get through this, he said one evening, holding me close as we lay in his bed. You just need to be honest with Jason and Michael. Tell them the truth. His words sounded simple, but the reality was anything but. How could I tell Jason that I had been unfaithful, that I was pregnant with another man's child? And how could I face Michael, the man I had married, after betraying him so completely? The day of Michael's return finally arrived. Jason and I were sitting in the living room when the doorbell rang. The sound echoed through the house, and my heart felt like it was about to explode. Jason glanced at me, his expression unreadable. Before he got up to answer the door, Michael stood on the doorstep, looking almost exactly as I remembered him, tall, broad-shouldered, with the same intense gaze that had drawn me to him years ago. But there was something different about him now, a hardness in his eyes, a coldness that sent a shiver down my spine. Emily, he said, his voice low and steady. We need to talk. I nodded, unable to find my voice. He stepped inside, his eyes never leaving mine. Jason closed the door behind him, and the three of us stood there in awkward silence, the weight of unspoken words hanging heavily in the air. Finally, Michael spoke again. I know about everything, Emily. The affairs, the lies. I know you're pregnant. My knees buckled, and I sank onto the couch, tears streaming down my face. I'm sorry, Michael. I never meant for any of this to happen. He nodded, his expression unreadable. I know, but that doesn't change what you've done. Jason stood by the door, his face pale and drawn. He looked like he wanted to say something, but no words came out. The silence stretched on, heavy and suffocating. Michael took a deep breath, his eyes narrowing as he looked at me. I want a divorce, Emily. I've already filed the papers. But before I leave, I need to know who's the father. I glanced at Jason, then back at Michael. I don't know. It could be Jason, or it could be Tom. Michael's expression hardened, and he shook his head. Unbelievable. He turned to Jason, his voice cold. I'm sorry you got dragged into this. You deserve better. Jason nodded, his eyes filled with pain. I didn't know, Michael. I swear I didn't know. Michael looked back at me, his eyes filled with a mixture of anger and sadness. I'll be staying in a hotel until the divorce is finalized. You can keep the house. I don't want anything from you. With that, He turned and walked out the door, leaving me sitting on the couch, sobbing uncontrollably. Jason sat down next to me, his hand resting awkwardly on my shoulder. "I'm sorry, Emily," he said quietly, "but I can't do this anymore." I looked up at him, my vision blurred by tears. "What do you mean?" "I mean, I can't be with you. Not after everything that's happened. I'm moving out." His words hit me like a punch to the gut. I had lost everything: my husband, my boyfriend, and now the man I thought I loved. My world was crumbling around me, and I had no one to blame but myself. The next few days passed in a blur. Jason packed his things and moved out, leaving me alone in our empty house. I tried to reach out to Tom, but he was distant, his calls becoming less frequent until they stopped altogether. One evening, as I sat alone in the dimly lit living room, my phone buzzed with a message. It was from Tom. "I need some time to think, Emily. This is all too much for me right now." His words were like a knife to my heart. I had driven away everyone who cared about me, and now I was truly alone. The reality of my situation hit me like a ton of bricks. I was pregnant, alone, and facing a future filled with uncertainty and regret. I knew I needed to make some changes, to find a way to pick up the pieces of my shattered life. But at that moment, all I could do was cry, overwhelmed by the mess I had created. The days following Jason's departure were some of the darkest of my life. The house that once felt warm and filled with love now felt cold and empty. The silence was deafening, a constant reminder of everything I had lost. I was alone, pregnant, and drowning in guilt and regret. I spent my days in a haze, barely able to muster the energy to get out of bed. I avoided friends and family, too ashamed to face them. My phone remained silent, no messages or calls from Tom. It was clear he had decided to move on, leaving me to deal with the consequences of my actions alone. One morning, after what felt like an eternity of wallowing in self-pity, I realized that I couldn't go on like this. I was going to be a mother, and I needed to get my life together for the sake of my unborn child. It was time to face my mistakes and start rebuilding my life, piece by piece. The first step was finding a job. I had quit my previous job a few months ago, thinking I could rely on Jason's income while I figured out what I wanted to do next. But now, with Jason gone, I needed to support myself and my child. I dusted off my resume and began applying for jobs, determined to find something that would provide stability for my future. Days turned into weeks, and slowly, things began to improve. I landed a job as a receptionist at a local law firm. It wasn't glamorous, but it was a start. The routine of going to work every day helped me regain a sense of normalcy, and for the first time in weeks, I felt a glimmer of hope. As I settled into my new job, I also started attending a support group for single mothers. The women there were kind and understanding, offering advice and encouragement. Hearing their stories of resilience and strength inspired me, and I began to believe that I could overcome my own challenges. One evening, after a particularly exhausting day at work, I received an unexpected call. It was Michael. "Emily, I think we need to talk," he said, his voice calm but serious. My heart raced. "Michael, I'm so sorry for everything," he sighed. "I know, Emily, but we need to discuss the future. Our divorce, the baby, everything." We agreed to meet at a cafe the next day. I was nervous, unsure of what to expect. When I arrived, Michael was already there, sitting at a corner table. He looked tired, but there was a softness in his eyes that gave me a small sense of hope. "Thank you for meeting me," I said, sitting down across from him. He nodded. We need to figure out how to move forward. For the sake of the baby, I want to be involved, Emily. Despite everything, I want to be a father to this child. Tears welled up in my eyes. I want that too, Michael. I want our child to have a loving family, even if we're not together. We talked for hours, discussing everything from custody arrangements to co-parenting strategies. It was a difficult conversation filled with painful truths and raw emotions, but it was also a step towards healing. By the end of it, we had a tentative roadmap for navigating the complexities of our new reality. As the months went by, I focused on preparing for the arrival of my baby. Michael and I maintained a cordial relationship, communicating regularly about the pregnancy. He attended doctor's appointments with me, and together we planned for the baby's future. It wasn't the life we had envisioned, but it was something we could both work with. I continued attending the support group, finding strength in the stories of other single mothers. They reminded me that I wasn't alone, that I could overcome the challenges ahead. My coworkers at the law firm also became a source of support, offering advice and encouragement as I navigated this new chapter of my life. One day, as I was sorting through baby clothes and setting up the nursery, I received a call from Tom. My heart skipped a beat. It had been months since I had last heard from him. "Emily, can we meet?" he asked, his voice hesitant. I agreed, and we met at the same cafe where Michael and I had talked. Seeing Tom again brought a flood of emotions. Despite everything, a part of me still cared deeply for him. "Emily, I've had a lot of time to think," he began, looking into my eyes. "I'm sorry for disappearing. I was overwhelmed, but I've realized that I want to be a part of your life. I want to help with the baby." I was taken aback, unsure of how to respond. "Tom, a lot has changed. Michael and I have been working together to prepare for the baby. I don't know where you fit into all of this." He nodded, a pained expression on his face. "I understand. I just want to be there for you and the baby however I can. I'll respect whatever decision you make." We talked for hours, discussing our complicated history and the uncertain future. By the end of it, we had reached a tentative understanding. Tom would be involved in the baby's life, but we would take things one step at a time, focusing on what was best for the child. As my due date approached, I felt a strange mix of fear and excitement. My life was far from perfect, but I was surrounded by people who cared about me and my baby. Michael, Tom, and even my new friends from the support group, they all formed a patchwork of support, helping me navigate the challenges ahead. The day finally arrived. As I held my newborn son in my arms, tears streamed down my face. This tiny, fragile life represented a new beginning, a chance to right my wrongs and build a future filled with love and hope. Michael was by my side, his eyes filled with tears of joy. Tom arrived shortly after, looking nervous but excited. We were an unconventional family, bound together by complicated circumstances, but in that moment, all that mattered was the love we had for this precious child. I knew the road ahead wouldn't be easy, but I was determined to make it work. For the sake of my son, for the sake of the people who had stood by me, and for the sake of my own redemption. I had made mistakes, but I had also found the strength to pick up the pieces and start anew. As I looked into my baby's eyes, I promised him that I would do everything in my power to give him a life filled with love, stability, and happiness. And in that moment, I felt a sense of peace, knowing that despite the darkness of my past, there was hope for a brighter future. The first few months of my son's life were a whirlwind of sleepless nights, diaper changes, and overwhelming emotions. I named him Benjamin, or Ben for short. Holding him in my arms, I felt a fierce protective love that I had never experienced before. He was my world now, and I was determined to be the best mother I could be. Michael and Tom were both involved in Ben's life from the start. Michael visited regularly, helping with feedings and late-night rocking sessions. He even set up a nursery at his apartment for when Ben stayed with him. Despite the pain of our past, we managed to establish a cooperative co-parenting relationship. We were committed to giving Ben a stable and loving environment, even if we weren't together. Tom's involvement was more complicated. He visited often, always bringing gifts and offering to help. He was sweet and attentive, but I could sense the lingering tension between him and Michael. It was clear that both men cared deeply for Ben, and finding a balance between their roles was a delicate task. As time went on, I found a rhythm in my new life. My job at the law firm provided financial stability, and my coworkers became a second family. They celebrated Ben's milestones with me, offering support and advice. The women in my support group also continued to be a source of strength, their shared experiences and encouragement helping me navigate the challenges of single motherhood. One evening, after putting Ben to sleep, I sat down with a cup of tea and reflected on how much had changed. I thought about the person I had been a year ago, lost, reckless, and consumed by guilt. I had made so many mistakes, but I was learning and growing from them. I was becoming the person I wanted to be, for Ben and for myself. My thoughts were interrupted by a knock at the door. When I opened it, I found Tom standing there, looking anxious. "Can we talk?" he asked. I nodded and led him to the living room. We sat down, and he took a deep breath. "Emily, I've been thinking a lot about us," he began. "I know things have been complicated, and I've made mistakes, but I want to be there for you and Ben. Not just as a friend, but as a partner." His words caught me off guard. I had been so focused on being a good mother and co-parent that I hadn't considered the possibility of rekindling a romantic relationship with Tom. "Tom, I care about you, but we have to be careful," I said slowly. "Our priority is Ben, and we need to make sure we're doing what's best for him." He nodded, his eyes filled with sincerity. "I understand, Emily. I'm willing to take things slow to rebuild your trust. I just want to be a part of your life." Over the next few months, Tom and I spent more time together. We went on outings with Ben, slowly rebuilding our relationship. There were moments of awkwardness and uncertainty, but there were also moments of joy and connection. Tom's genuine effort to be a part of Ben's life and to support me was evident, and I began to trust him again. Meanwhile, Michael continued to be a rock in my life. Our co-parenting relationship grew stronger, and we found a comfortable rhythm. He was always there when I needed him, offering advice and support. We shared the joys and challenges of raising Ben, our bond evolving into a deep and mutual respect. One day, as I was dropping Ben off at Michael's apartment, he pulled me aside. "Emily, I've been offered a job in Seattle," he said, his expression serious. "It's a great opportunity, but I wanted to talk to you about it first. I don't want to disrupt Ben's life." My heart sank at the thought of Michael moving away. Despite everything, he had become an essential part of our lives. "What does this mean for us?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. "I'm willing to commute for now, but eventually I might have to move there permanently," he explained. "I want us to figure out a plan that works for Ben." We spent the next few weeks discussing options, exploring ways to make it work. In the end, we agreed that Michael would take the job, but would stay in Portland on weekends and during important milestones. We would reassess the situation as Ben grew older, always prioritizing his well-being. As Michael prepared for his new job, I focused on strengthening my relationship with Tom. We took things slow, prioritizing our roles as parents while exploring the possibility of a future together. Tom's dedication to Ben and his genuine efforts to support me didn't go unnoticed. Slowly but surely, my feelings for him deepened. One evening, after a particularly stressful day at work, I came home to find Tom cooking dinner. Ben was in his high chair, babbling happily. "Surprise," Tom said with a smile. "I thought you could use a break." Tears filled my eyes as I took in the scene. Tom had stepped up in ways I hadn't expected, showing me that he was truly committed to being a part of our lives. We sat down to dinner, and for the first time in a long while, I felt a sense of peace and contentment. As the months passed, our little family found a new normal. Michael's job in Seattle meant he wasn't around as much, but he remained a constant presence in Ben's life. Tom and I grew closer, building a strong foundation of trust and love. One afternoon, as we watched Ben play in the park, Tom turned to me, his expression serious. "Emily, I know we've been through a lot, and I know I've made mistakes, but I love you, and I love Ben. I want to build a future with you, if you'll have me." I looked into his eyes, seeing the sincerity and hope in them. My journey had been long and painful, filled with mistakes and regret, but it had also been a journey of growth and redemption. I had found strength I didn't know I had, and I had learned the importance of forgiveness and second chances. "I love you too, Tom," I said, my voice choked with emotion, "and I want to build a future together." As we embraced, I felt a sense of hope and excitement for the future. It wouldn't be easy, and there would be challenges ahead, but I knew we could face them together, for Ben, for us, and for the promise of a brighter tomorrow. The months following Tom's heartfelt confession were a mix of joy and challenges. We were determined to make our relationship work, but blending our lives and priorities was not without its difficulties. We had to navigate the complex dynamics of our unconventional family, all while ensuring that Ben's needs remained our top priority. Tom moved in with us, and while his presence brought a new level of support and companionship, it also introduced new complications. We had to learn how to co-parent with Michael, who was now dividing his time between Portland and Seattle. It was a delicate balance, requiring constant communication and cooperation. Michael, true to his word, made every effort to be present in Ben's life. He visited every weekend, attended important events, and remained an engaged and loving father. Despite the distance, he and Ben shared a strong bond. Michael's new job in Seattle was demanding, but he never let it interfere with his commitment to our son. Tom, on the other hand, struggled with feelings of insecurity. He loved Ben as his own, but the reality of Michael's continued involvement was a constant reminder of our complicated situation. There were moments of tension and jealousy, and it took time for us to find a balance that worked for everyone. One evening, after putting Ben to bed, Tom and I sat down to talk. He looked troubled, and I knew something was weighing on his mind. "Emily, I've been feeling like a second choice," he admitted, his voice heavy with emotion. "I know Michael is Ben's father, but sometimes it feels like there's no place for me in this family." His words cut deep, and I realized that I had been so focused on co-parenting with Michael that I hadn't fully acknowledged Tom's role. "Tom, I'm sorry," I said, taking his hand. "You are a crucial part of our family. Ben loves you, and I love you. We just need to find a way to make this work for all of us." We spent hours talking, laying everything out on the table. It was a raw and honest conversation, filled with tears and vulnerability. By the end of it, we had a better understanding of each other's feelings and a renewed commitment to our relationship. We decided to seek counseling, both individually and as a couple. It was a turning point for us, helping us navigate our complex emotions and build a stronger foundation. The counselor helped us develop strategies for co-parenting, communication, and managing our expectations. Slowly but surely, we began to find our rhythm. As Tom and I worked through our challenges, my relationship with Michael also evolved. We developed a mutual respect and understanding, recognizing that our primary goal was Ben's well-being. We established clear boundaries and a consistent schedule, which helped create a sense of stability for Ben. Work continued to be a crucial part of my life, providing not only financial stability but also a sense of purpose. My colleagues at the law firm became a close-knit support network, celebrating my triumphs and offering a shoulder to lean on during tough times. I even started taking on more responsibilities at work, feeling more confident and capable. One day, as I was sorting through paperwork at my desk, my boss, Karen, approached me with a smile. "Emily, you've been doing an outstanding job," she said. "I'd like to offer you a promotion to office manager. You've proven yourself to be reliable, hardworking, and a natural leader." I was taken aback, tears of gratitude welling up in my eyes. "Thank you, Karen. This means so much to me." The promotion was a significant milestone, affirming that I was on the right path. It also provided a financial boost, which was crucial for Ben's future. With my new role, I was able to afford better childcare and save for Ben's education. As Ben grew, so did my sense of fulfillment and purpose. Watching him take his first steps, hearing his first words, and seeing the world through his eyes brought immeasurable joy. Despite the difficulties, I felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude for the life we were building. One Saturday afternoon, while playing in the park, Tom surprised me with a small velvet box. My heart raced as he got down on one knee, a mixture of nerves and excitement in his eyes. "Emily, these past few years have been a roller coaster, but through it all, my love for you has only grown stronger," he said, his voice trembling with emotion. "Will you marry me? Will you build a future with me and Ben?" Tears streamed down my face as I looked at him, my heart swelling with love and hope. "Yes, Tom. 1,000 times yes." We embraced, laughter and tears mingling, as Ben clapped his hands, oblivious to the significance of the moment. Our engagement was a testament to our resilience, our commitment to each other, and our belief in the future we were creating. Planning the wedding brought its own set of challenges, but it also brought us closer together. We decided on a small, intimate ceremony, surrounded by close friends and family. Michael was supportive, offering to take care of Ben during the honeymoon and even helping with some of the preparations. The day of the wedding was a beautiful blur. Standing in front of our loved ones, exchanging vows with Tom, I felt an overwhelming sense of peace and happiness. We had come a long way from the chaos and pain of our past, and now we were united in love and commitment. After the wedding, life settled into a new normal. Tom and I worked together to create a loving and stable home for Ben. Michael continued to be an involved father, and our co-parenting arrangement flourished. We faced challenges, but we faced them together with love and determination. One evening, as I watched Ben and Tom play in the backyard, I felt a profound sense of contentment. My journey had been filled with mistakes and heartache, but it had also been a journey of growth, redemption, and love. I had found my way through the darkness, and now I was surrounded by the light of my family. As the sun set, casting a warm glow over our home, I knew that we would face whatever came our way. Together we were stronger. Together we were a family, and together we would build a future filled with love, hope, and endless possibilities. Life was settling into a comfortable rhythm. Our home was filled with laughter and love, and Ben was thriving. Tom and I were enjoying our new roles as husband and wife, and the challenges we faced only seemed to strengthen our bond. Michael remained a steady presence in Ben's life, and our co parenting relationship was built on mutual respect and a shared commitment to our son's well being. However, life has a way of throwing curveballs when you least expect them. One evening, as we were sitting down to dinner, the doorbell rang. Tom went to answer it, and a few moments later, he called out to me, "Emily, there's someone here to see you." I walked to the door, my heart pounding with curiosity and a hint of anxiety. Standing there was a woman I didn't recognize. She looked nervous, her hands fidgeting with the strap of her handbag. "Emily," she asked, her voice uncertain. "My name is Sarah. I need to talk to you about Michael." My stomach dropped. I invited her in, and we sat down in the living room. Tom stayed close, his presence a comforting anchor as Sarah began to speak. "Michael and I met in Seattle," she explained. "We've been dating for about 6 months. Recently, he started acting distant, and I found out why. I discovered he has another life here in Portland, a son, an ex-wife, everything." The room seemed to tilt, and I gripped Tom's hand. "I'm not his ex-wife," I corrected gently. "We're divorced, but we share custody of our son, Ben." Sarah nodded, her eyes welling with tears. I confronted him about it, and he admitted everything. He said he was trying to keep his lives separate, but it's been tearing him apart. I felt a mix of anger and sadness. Michael had always been honest with me about his struggles, but this was something I hadn't seen coming. "What do you want to do, Sarah?" I asked, my voice steady despite the turmoil inside me. "I don't know," she admitted. "I love him, but I don't know if I can trust him. I came here because I needed to understand, to see for myself." We talked for hours, sharing our stories and trying to make sense of the situation. By the end of the night, Sarah decided to return to Seattle and take some time to think. I promised to speak with Michael and let her know if anything changed. When Michael arrived the next weekend, I confronted him about Sarah. His face paled, and he sighed deeply. "I was going to tell you, Emily," he said, running a hand through his hair. "I just didn't know how. I didn't want to disrupt what we have with Ben." "Michael, you need to be honest with the people in your life," I said, my voice firm but compassionate. "Sarah deserves the truth, and so do I. We can't keep living like this with half-truths and secrets." He nodded, looking genuinely remorseful. "You're right. I'll talk to her, and I'll do better. I promise." True to his word, Michael reached out to Sarah and had a heartfelt conversation. They decided to take a break, giving Michael time to sort out his priorities and rebuild trust. It was a difficult period, but it was also a necessary one. During this time, Tom was my rock. He supported me through the emotional upheaval, reminding me of the strength we had built together. We focused on our family, ensuring that Ben felt loved and secure, despite the changes around him. One evening, as Tom and I were sitting on the porch, watching Ben play in the yard, he turned to me with a thoughtful expression. "Emily, I've been thinking about our future," he said. "I know things have been complicated, but I want to grow our family. I want us to have another child." His words filled me with a mix of emotions. The thought of expanding our family was both exciting and daunting. "Tom, I'd love that," I said, my heart swelling with love. "But are we ready for it?" He smiled, taking my hand. "We've faced so much together, and we've come out stronger. I believe we can handle anything that comes our way. Besides, Ben would make a great big brother." We decided to start trying for another baby, and the anticipation brought a new sense of joy and hope to our lives. It wasn't long before we received the news we had been hoping for. I was pregnant. The months of my pregnancy were filled with the usual ups and downs, but they were also filled with a profound sense of happiness. Ben was thrilled at the prospect of having a sibling, and Tom was a constant source of support. Even Michael, despite the challenges in his own life, was excited about the new addition to our family. As my due date approached, we prepared our home for the arrival of our baby. One evening, while setting up the nursery, Tom looked at me with a smile. "You've made me so happy, Emily," he said, pulling me into a gentle embrace. "I can't wait to meet our little one and continue this journey together." Our baby girl, Lily, was born on a crisp autumn morning. Holding her in my arms, I felt the same overwhelming love and protectiveness I had felt with Ben. Our family was complete, and the future seemed bright and full of promise. Life with 2 children brought its own set of challenges, but it also brought immeasurable joy. Ben was a doting big brother, always eager to help with Lily. Tom and I worked as a team, navigating the sleepless nights and endless diaper changes with a sense of unity and love. Michael continued to be a dedicated father, splitting his time between Seattle and Portland. He and Sarah eventually reconciled, finding a way to balance their relationship with his responsibilities as a father. It wasn't always easy, but we all made it work for the sake of our children. One evening, as I sat in the living room, watching Tom play with Ben and Lily, I felt a deep sense of gratitude. My journey had been filled with mistakes and heartache, but it had also been a journey of growth, redemption, and love. I had found my way through the darkness, and now I was surrounded by the light of my family. As the sun set, casting a warm glow over our home, I knew that we would face whatever came our way. Together we were stronger. Together we were a family. And together we would build a future filled with love, hope, and endless possibilities. Life with 2 children was a beautiful chaos. Ben adored his baby sister, and Lily's arrival had filled our home with even more love and laughter. Tom and I had settled into a comfortable rhythm, balancing work, parenting, and our relationship. Michael remained a supportive presence, navigating his responsibilities as a father and partner to Sarah. We had found a way to coexist peacefully, focusing on what mattered most, our children. But life, as always, had more surprises in store. One evening, as I was preparing dinner, Tom walked into the kitchen with a serious expression on his face. He held a letter in his hand, and I immediately sensed that something was wrong. "Emily, we need to talk," he said, handing me the letter. I took it, my heart pounding, and began to read. It was a notice from Tom's company, informing him that his division was being relocated to New York. He had been offered a promotion, but it meant moving across the country. "This is an incredible opportunity for us," Tom said, his voice filled with both excitement and concern. "But I know it would mean a lot of changes for our family. I wanted to talk to you before making any decisions." I sat down, feeling a mix of emotions. The promotion was a significant career advancement for Tom, and it would provide us with financial security and new opportunities. But the thought of uprooting our lives, leaving behind our support network, and navigating the complexities of co-parenting from such a distance was overwhelming. "What do you think?" Tom, I asked, needing to hear his perspective. "I want what's best for our family," he said, sitting beside me. "I believe this move could be a fresh start for us, but I also understand if you have reservations. We need to make this decision together." We spent the next few days discussing the pros and cons, seeking advice from friends and family. Michael was surprisingly supportive, offering to help with the transition and assuring us that he would remain an active part of Ben and Lily's lives, no matter the distance. Ultimately, we decided to take the leap. The opportunity was too good to pass up, and we believed that with careful planning and open communication, we could make it work. The following months were a whirlwind of preparations, packing, and goodbyes. It was a bittersweet time, filled with excitement for the future and sadness at leaving behind the life we had built in Portland. The move to New York was a significant adjustment. The city was bustling and vibrant, a stark contrast to the laid-back atmosphere of Portland. Our new apartment was smaller, but it was located in a family-friendly neighborhood with excellent schools and parks. Tom thrived in his new role, and I found a part-time job at a local nonprofit organization, allowing me to balance work and parenting. Despite the initial challenges, we began to settle into our new life. Ben started kindergarten and quickly made new friends. Lily, now a toddler, enjoyed exploring the city with me during the day. Tom and I made an effort to stay connected, carving out time for each other amidst the busyness of our lives. Michael kept his promise, visiting regularly and staying involved in the children's lives. We established a routine of video calls and visits, ensuring that Ben and Lily maintained a strong bond with their father. Sarah occasionally joined him on these trips, and over time, our blended family found a new equilibrium. One weekend, while Michael was visiting, we took the children to Central Park. Watching them play together, I felt a deep sense of gratitude. Despite the distance and the changes, we had managed to maintain a loving and supportive environment for our children. As we sat on a bench, Michael turned to me with a thoughtful expression. "You know, Emily, we've come a long way," he said. "I'm proud of how we've managed to co-parent and keep our family strong." "Me too, Michael," I replied, smiling. "It's been a journey, but it's worth it for them." Our conversation was interrupted by the sound of laughter as Tom chased Ben and Lily around the playground. Seeing the joy on their faces, I knew we had made the right decision. Our move to New York had brought us closer as a family, teaching us the importance of adaptability, communication, and love. As the years passed, our lives continued to evolve. Ben and Lily grew, their personalities blossoming. Ben was curious and adventurous, always eager to learn and explore. Lily was creative and empathetic, with a knack for bringing joy to those around her. Tom and I supported their interests and encouraged their dreams, proud of the individuals they were becoming. Our family trips to Portland became cherished traditions, filled with laughter and reconnections. Michael and Sarah visited us in New York as well, and we often spent holidays together, blending our families in a way that felt natural and loving. One summer, during a visit to Portland, Michael pulled me aside for a private conversation. He looked nervous, and I sensed that something important was on his mind. "Emily, I've been offered a job in Europe," he said. "It's a great opportunity, but it means relocating again. I wanted to discuss it with you before making any decisions." The news took me by surprise, and I felt a familiar mix of emotions: excitement for Michael's opportunity and concern for how it would impact our family dynamic. "What do you think, Michael?" I asked, needing to understand his perspective. "I think it's a chance for a new adventure," he said thoughtfully. "But I also don't want to disrupt Ben and Lily's lives. If I take the job, it would mean less frequent visits, though I'd still make every effort to stay connected." We talked through the details, weighing the pros and cons. Ultimately, Michael decided to accept the job, and we began to plan for the changes ahead. It was another test of our resilience and commitment to co-parenting. The transition was challenging, but we found ways to make it work. We scheduled regular video calls and planned extended visits during school breaks. Ben and Lily adapted well, excited by the prospect of visiting Europe and experiencing new cultures. Through it all, Tom remained my steadfast partner. We navigated the complexities of our blended family with patience and love, ensuring that our children felt secure and cherished. Our journey had been filled with unexpected twists and turns, but we faced each challenge together, stronger for it. One evening, as we sat on the balcony of our New York apartment, watching the city lights twinkle, Tom took my hand and smiled. "We've built a beautiful life, Emily," he said, "and no matter what comes our way, I know we can handle it together." I looked at him, my heart full of love and gratitude. "Yes, we can," I replied, leaning in for a kiss. As the years went by, our family continued to grow and evolve. Ben and Lily thrived, surrounded by love and support. Michael's job in Europe brought new adventures, and we cherished our time together whenever we could. Tom and I remained each other's rock, navigating the ups and downs of life with unwavering commitment. Looking back on our journey, I realized that every challenge had brought us closer, teaching us the true meaning of family, love, and resilience. We had faced our past, embraced our present, and built a future filled with hope and endless possibilities. Together we were stronger. Together we were a family. And together we would continue to face whatever came our way, knowing that love would always guide us home. As the years rolled on, our family continued to grow and evolve in ways I could never have anticipated. Ben and Lily were flourishing, their personalities blossoming as they navigated the ups and downs of childhood and early adolescence. Tom and I, now well adjusted to our roles as parents and partners, found a rhythm in our busy lives. Michael's job in Europe presented its own set of challenges and opportunities, but we remained committed to maintaining strong connections with him. One summer, as we were preparing for another visit to Portland, Tom received unexpected news. His company had been acquired by a major tech firm, and they were offering him a significant promotion. The catch? The promotion came with a relocation to San Francisco. The prospect of moving again stirred up a mixture of excitement and apprehension. San Francisco offered new opportunities for Tom, but it meant uprooting our family once more and leaving behind the life we had built in New York. We sat down to discuss the potential move, weighing the pros and cons. San Francisco promised excellent career prospects and a vibrant environment for our family. However, the thought of disrupting Ben and Lily's lives and the logistics of managing a long-distance relationship with Michael weighed heavily on us. After much discussion, we decided to embrace the opportunity. San Francisco was a chance for growth and new experiences, and we believed that with careful planning, we could make it work. We began preparing for the move, making sure that Ben and Lily were involved in the process and understood the changes ahead. The transition to San Francisco was challenging but exciting. The city's iconic landmarks, diverse neighborhoods, and cultural opportunities offered a new adventure for our family. Ben quickly adapted to his new school, and Lily enjoyed exploring the city's parks and museums. Despite the changes, we remained committed to our co-parenting arrangement with Michael. We scheduled regular visits, both for him to come to San Francisco and for us to visit Europe. Our video calls and digital communication ensured that Ben and Lily maintained strong relationships with their father, no matter the distance. One evening, while settling into our new home, Tom and I reflected on our journey. We had faced numerous challenges moving cities, navigating co-parenting dynamics, and adjusting to new roles and responsibilities. Through it all, our love and commitment to each other had remained unwavering. "I never imagined our lives would take so many twists and turns," Tom said, his voice filled with awe. "But I wouldn't change a thing. We've built something incredible together." I smiled, leaning in to kiss him. "Neither would I. We've grown stronger with every challenge, and we've created a beautiful life for our family. Our new life in San Francisco was filled with fresh opportunities and adventures. We explored the city, made new friends, and embraced the vibrant culture. Ben and Lily thrived in their new environment, finding new passions and making lifelong memories. As time passed, we celebrated many milestones together. Ben excelled in his studies and sports, while Lily's artistic talents blossomed. Tom's career continued to flourish, and I found fulfillment in my work and community involvement. We remained dedicated to our family, balancing our personal and professional lives with love and commitment. Michael's visits to San Francisco were always special. We cherished the time spent together, exploring the city and making memories as a blended family. His continued involvement in Ben and Lily's lives was a testament to our shared dedication to their well-being. One summer, as we prepared for another visit to Europe, Tom and I found ourselves reflecting on our journey, the challenges we had faced, the changes we had embraced, and the love that had guided us through it all had shaped our family in profound ways. Our travels to Europe were always filled with excitement and wonder. We explored new cultures, experienced different lifestyles, and created lasting memories. The bonds we had built with Michael and Sarah remained strong, and our blended family continued to grow and thrive. As we strolled through a charming European village one evening, Ben and Lily excitedly pointing out landmarks, Tom took my hand and smiled. "Look at what we've created," he said, his eyes shining with pride. "We've built a family that's strong, loving, and full of possibilities." I looked around at our children, so full of joy and wonder, and felt a deep sense of gratitude. Yes, we have. And no matter where life takes us, we'll always have each other. Our journey had taken us from Portland to New York to San Francisco, with many twists and turns along the way. Each move, each challenge had brought us closer together, teaching us the true meaning of resilience, love, and family. As the sun set over the European landscape, casting a warm glow over our family, I knew that we had built something truly special. We had faced our past, embraced our present, and created a future filled with hope and endless possibilities. Together, we had navigated the complexities of life with strength and love. We had built a family that was united by our shared experiences and unwavering commitment to one another. And as we continued to explore new horizons, I knew that our love and dedication would guide us through whatever the future held. The years continued to pass, each one adding new layers to our rich and multifaceted lives. Ben and Lily grew into remarkable young adults, their individual paths taking shape with promise and ambition. Tom and I remained dedicated to each other, navigating the complexities of life with the wisdom and strength we had gained from our experiences. Ben, now a high school senior, had developed a passion for technology and innovation. His interest in robotics and engineering had led him to excel in his studies and secure an internship with a prominent tech company. He was excited about the future and the possibilities that awaited him. Lily, on the other hand, had found her calling in the arts. Her talent for painting and storytelling had blossomed, and she had recently been accepted into a prestigious art school. Her creativity and dedication were inspiring, and we were proud of the person she was becoming. Tom's career continued to thrive, and he had recently been promoted to a leadership position within his company. His hard work and dedication had paid off, and he was now shaping the future of the tech industry. Despite his demanding role, he always made time for our family, balancing his professional and personal life with grace and commitment. Our life in San Francisco had become a beautiful blend of stability and adventure. We explored the city's many offerings, from its diverse neighborhoods to its world-class museums. Our weekends were filled with family outings, cultural events, and the simple joys of everyday life. Michael's visits remained a cherished part of our lives. His role as a father continued to be integral to Ben and Lily's development, and our time together was filled with warmth and connection. His job in Europe had provided him with incredible experiences, and he often shared stories of his travels and new adventures. One summer, we planned a family trip to explore the Mediterranean. It was an opportunity to celebrate Ben's graduation and Lily's acceptance into art school. We traveled through stunning landscapes, immersed ourselves in different cultures, and created lasting memories together. As we sailed along the azure waters, Tom and I took a moment to reflect on our journey. We had faced countless challenges, navigated complex relationships, and embraced change with courage and love. Our family was a testament to the power of resilience and the beauty of shared experiences. One evening, as we gathered for a celebratory dinner overlooking the Mediterranean Sea, Tom raised his glass in a toast. "To family," he said, his voice filled with emotion. "To the journey we've been on, the love that has guided us, and the future we continue to build together." We all raised our glasses, echoing his sentiment. The love and support that bound us together were palpable, and the sense of accomplishment and joy was overwhelming. As we continued to embrace the future, we knew that life would bring its own set of challenges and opportunities. But with the strength of our family and the love that had carried us through so much, we were ready to face whatever came our way. Our journey had taken us from the complexities of our past to the promise of a bright and hopeful future. We had built a family grounded in love, trust, and resilience. And as we looked ahead, we knew that our story was far from over. Together, we would continue to navigate life's twists and turns, embracing new adventures and cherishing the moments that made our journey extraordinary. Our family was our greatest treasure, and with each new chapter, we would write a story filled with hope, love, and endless possibilities.